What's up with y'all boys and girls, man? Hey, it's Jay Briggs here. Picks from the DawgHouse NFL edition. I got Big Al McMorty and Sean Murphy here with me. Y'all know what we do, man. We're going to break down all the NFL games this week. Continue to cook it up and do what we do here. Al, how you doing this week, my man?
Doing good. Sorry that the football season's about to end. We still got all the important games left, but it's the best time of year for everyone, and it just seems like it goes by way too fast. Um, Looking forward to the playoffs. Fingers crossed that Ohio State doesn't, win the title, but whatever will be, will be.
They're not going to win it.
I don't know. I'm just so nervous about it. I mean, it's that would be like the ultimate, screw job. Like we beat them and they still win the title.
They're not going to do it. They lost to y'all in the damn season. I don't believe in them. We'll see. We'll see.
I think your Texas boys could do it.
My quarterback got to play better, or we got to maybe we got to switch to the other one because defensively I really like my team, but offensively, situationally, they scare me. So we'll see with them too. I think college football, while we're talking about it, is more wide open this year than in years past because I don't really believe in Oregon. I don't believe in Ohio State. Texas still scares me. We'll see what's up with Georgia's quarterback situation.
I think the Georgia teams from a few years ago and even the Michigan team last year would have wiped out any of the teams this year. I mean, Georgia especially, was so much better than any of the teams, in 2024. But we'll see. I've got a ticket on Oregon at 8-1 from the preseason, but
Okay.
I'm kind of thinking Texas might be the way to go right now.
Okay. Some early thoughts from Big Al McMorty here. Talking some college football. Sean, how you doing today, my man?
Good, Jay. Good. I think we put people on some winners here last week on this show, so hopefully we'll do the same this week. And it's no bye weeks this week, so bit of more of a loaded card for the NFL for this weekend. So lots of games to talk about here today.
Yes, sir. You hit the nail right on the head, man. We got a full slate. Um, a lot of implications, playoff implications this week and things of that nature. I love this time of year, kind of like Al was alluding to. Games are really meaningful at this time of year. It's unlike the NBA, which, a lot of y'all know I love. The NFL, man, sometimes in the NBA, you could just tell this game, some of these guys. The NFL, that's not the case. So it should be a really fun week and an interesting week to break down with both of you fellas. We're shooting this on Thursday, currently 2 o'clock Central, 3 Eastern. We're still going to break down the Thursday game, and hopefully I get this out in time so most of y'all are able to see this for the Thursday game. And, of course, we'll break down every other game following that. So let's do exactly that, ladies and gentlemen. Thursday, we have the Rams. Right now, currently, I'm seeing some threes. I see some 2.5s. Do your line shopping, man, depending on which side you like. Total right now sitting at 48.5. Al, how you feeling here in this game?
Yeah, I mean, I'm going to look at the over/under. It's come down a little bit from earlier in the week, but when you take a look at what these two teams just did last week, Rams and Bills, of course, hugely high-scoring game. It totaled 86 points, and then the Niners-Bears game totaled 51. The first meeting of these two teams also totaled 51 points, and I think the knee-jerk reaction for a lot of bettors is going to be looking at the recent results and to play the over. But I'm going to run with the under, primarily because it's a competitively priced game with a point spread of 2.5 or 3. And when you get an NFC West division game with competitively priced point spreads of 3 or less, they've gone 51 and 24 under the total, and we'll look for the under here.
Fair enough. Sean, how you feeling in this one?
Yeah, I think situationally, I think it's a good spot to lay the points here with the Niners. We got the Rams coming off that upset win at home in that shootout against the Bills last week. That's their second straight win, I think, out on a short week traveling against a divisional opponent. You've got the Niners who are, it's been a down year, but they played one of their better games of the season last Sunday. So um, I think the line is right here. I'm willing to lay the points with the Niners in this one.
Yeah, for me, this is an interesting game. This is one of the games that has huge playoff implications. Um, loser season could potentially be over. Winner still battling for the top of the division. I'm gonna look at the total. I'm gonna talk about both the side and the total. Sidewise, I lean towards the Rams plus the 3. If we're getting a full 3, I would take the Rams. I just think this game 9 times out of 10 is gonna come right down to the wire. And if the Niners win it, it's probably on a walk-off field goal, and I feel comfortable with a 3 in my back pocket. But I also believe that late in the season, I love great quarterback, great head coach, tandems. I talk about it all the time, and that's what we have here with McVay and Stafford. We've seen this team with this same tandem go on and win the Super Bowl, and they're healthy. That's really the key for me. They're healthy. They haven't really been that recently, so I think they have a legitimate chance to come in here and win this game. I feel comfortable with the points in my back pocket with the Rams. Total wise, I like the under as well with Big Al. Um, Both of these teams coming off high scoring affairs last week. Short week, division game, meaningful game, playoffs on the line. Under. It's basically how my brain works. So give me the under here in this game, and also give me the Rams plus the points. Let's keep it rolling, fellas. Let's keep it rolling on to Sunday, where we have the Baltimore Ravens out on the road facing the New York Football Giants. Ravens are 16-point favorites in this thing, man. 16-point road favorites. Sean, I don't know if you're talking side or total, but are you laying 16 with the Ravens in this spot?
Yeah, I don't know if I can touch this one from the side perspective here. I know last week, I know Al was high on the Giants. That was a good spot for them against the Saints at home as a 5.5 point dog. They kept that one close. Really,
Yeah,
the
thank God
Ravens
they
should come into
made the
this.
2 point conversion.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, it was fortunate. The Ravens should come in here and just blow the doors off the Giants. But they're coming off that tight game a couple weeks ago against the Eagles. Had the bye week. Ravens win this game, but winning by to lay 15.5 points in the NFL today, I'm just not interested in doing that. As far as the total goes, we have both teams coming off lower scoring than expected games. I'm not touching the total. To be honest, this is a game I'm probably not going to touch. If I had to absolutely take a side, I would have to grab the points with the Giants. They've got Tommy DeVito back in there, so um, if you're part of his owning, you might want to put a few bucks on the Giants here, but much better games on the board than this one.
Fair. I agree. Not a game I'm necessarily in love with. Not a game I want to rush to bet. I'm just gonna take the Ravens, lay the points, and pray they blow them out off the bye. Lamar Jackson against NFC opponents dominates them, takes them behind the shed, and the Giants are a terrible team. So I know this point spread's huge. I know they're on the road. I know I'm probably asking for it, laying 16 points. But it also wouldn't shock me if this game was like 31-7 when it's all said and done. Like the Ravens just absolutely beat up on them. So I'm going to lay it. Just trust the numbers. Trust what the Ravens have done against NFC teams, except for Philly, and lay it here in this one. Al?
yeah, I mean, I hope Costi and Eric aren't watching because they're not going to like what I have to say. Um, the reason I can't take Baltimore seriously as a Super Bowl contender right now is their defense. They're giving up 24.46 points per game. And you compare that number to Kansas City, which is allowing just 19.36, or Pittsburgh, which is giving up 18.3. I mean, or even sleepers like the Chargers or Broncos. I mean, those teams are averaging on defense 15.92 and 18.0, respectively. And you'd look at the NFC, the Eagles and Lions lead the way. Each one's at 18.0. Minnesota's just a tad higher at 18.46. So there's too many teams playing too good of defense, relative to the Ravens. I just think their defense is going to be their Achilles heel come playoff time. I mean, that's the big picture. Of course, we're talking the small picture with this game here. But I just can't lay this number of points with Baltimore because teams with bad defenses that allow more than 24 points per game, they're 71 and 112 ATS as favorites of 9 or more points. I think you have to look at the Giants here, and I will.
Tommy DeVito on the Giants for Al McMorty. Whew. What the Giants now? Before last week, what was it? 7 non-covers in a row.
Seven in a row.
Whew.
But now it resets. They're on a win streak. So,
Yes, they are. Yes, they are. Shout out to G-Man. See if them boys can do it back-to-back weeks. Let's keep it rolling. We head to Jacksonville where the Jags, 3.5 point home dogs with the Jets, man. Those Jets. Total 40.5. I believe I'm up here in this one. Y'all know where I'm at, and y'all know what I'm doing. I'm taking the Jags.
I don't know what you're doing.
I'm taking the Jags. I am continuously fading the Jets. I can't lay points in this style spot. I can't. Especially not 3 in the hook. 2.5, I might have thought about it. 3 in the hook, no way. No way possible. Best case scenario for me, Jets walk this game off with a field goal. That's best case scenario for the Jets. They're going to muck this game up, and everybody's going to have a heart attack betting this game. I think this is going to be a low-scoring affair as well. I know the total's low at 40.5. I still think it stays under the total. I think it's going to be a defensive-style game. I like both quarterbacks to throw INTs in this game. I know Jacksonville hasn't been great at creating turnovers, but they probably create one here in this one. Not a game I love either. There are some games I really love this week, but Jags plus the points at home, home dog. Overrated still, overvalued still. New York Jets laying points on the road. No, thank you. Give me Jacksonville. Al? You on them Jets?
Yeah, I mean, I'm not one of those guys that gets caught up in half points and worries about the hook.
Fair.
I mean, so few games land on or around the number. I mean, there's lots of games that'll be within one score, but as far as like landing exactly on the number or within a half point, there's not. I was just actually texting a client yesterday. In 2022, of the 285 games played, Jay, there were 3 pushes the entire NFL season out of 285. And then 5 games landed within a half point of the closing number. So 277 of the 285 games in 2022 did not fall within a half point. That was kind of on the extreme side. Last year, there was actually a few more games played because of the expanded playoffs. There was 289 games played, but there were 11 pushes and then 10 games landed within a half point. I mean, at the end of the day, most games don't fall within a half point or on the numbers. I don't get caught up in that kind of stuff. As far as this game goes, I just think this is a lesser of two evils game. You've got the Jets, of course, on a 4-game losing streak, but then the Jaguars don't have Trevor Lawrence. So I'm going to side with the Jets. Yeah, I mean, it's kind of a contrarian thing. I mean, NFL teams that have lost 4 or more games in a row, they've cashed 55% over the last 45 years as a road favorite versus foes off a straight-up win. So I'll lay the 3.5.
Fair enough. Sean, how you feel?
Yeah, it's another ugly one. Probably not a game I'm going to play either, but I'm with you, Jay, on this one. I do like the Jags plus the points at home. I talked a little bit about them last week about how I got burned 2 weeks ago when I laid the points with the Texans on the road against the Jags. If there's one spot where Jacksonville does tend to show up, it's as a home underdog. But saying that, they're 5-1-1 in their last 7 games overall, so they've been cashing tickets for a while now. The Jets are just. It's very difficult to get behind the Jets in any situation. They put up a bit of a fight there last week against the division rival Dolphins. They covered the spread in that game, but a second straight game in Florida here. I just wonder about their motivation late in the season, just how they've been playing. I'm just not interested in laying the points with them. It's probably going to be a stay away game, but I would have to lean Jags plus the points.
Fair enough. Let's keep it rolling. We had 2. Carolina with the Panthers. The Panthers are laying 3 points on my Cowboys, bro. What is going on, man? Panthers ain't been favored in what 3 seasons. Now they favored over my Cowboys, bro. Damn.
2 years. It was December of 2022.
Okay. Still 2 seasons, and now they favored over my team. Al, you're first hearing this one, man.
Oh gosh. I mean, look, the Panthers are playing better.
They are. They are.
Yeah, they've covered the number in 5 straight, but as you just alluded to, they're now favored. So this is a role reversal game. The last time, as I just said, they were favored in any game was Game 14 of the 2022 season. But the funny thing is yeah, they were favored back then. They didn't cover. Indeed, going back their last 8 games as a favorite, they're 0-8 ATS as a favorite. So I can't lay points with Carolina. They haven't been favored all year. They're covering the spreads as underdogs. Doesn't do them any good when they're laying 3. I'm taking Dallas.
Fair enough. Sean, how you feeling?
Yeah, I ended up laying the points with the Bengals in the Monday Nighter. That was a very fortunate, very fortunate
Oh,
cover
come on.
there.
That was a rocking chair winner, Sean.
So, short week for the Cowboys here, traveling to face the Panthers. I think a lot of bettors will be interested in fading the Cowboys here, but Dallas, this just feels like a spot now where I said last week that they, would potentially or beat the Bengals and then go on the road and lose to the Panthers after giving their fans some false hope, but that didn't happen. So I think the way it is now, I think we just fade the Panthers as Al said, as the home favorite. Um, you grab those points with the Cowboys and count on, I say regression from the Panthers, but they've lost 3 straight games. It's not as if they've been winning games outright or anything like that. So um, I'll grab the points with the Cowboys.
This game scares me, man. It really does. Because it's two teams really kind of going in opposite directions. Like I feel like the Cowboys had their heart ripped out last week, and now the season's over. While the other team, they've been so bad for so long. This would kind of be the, oh my God, this is our Super Bowl. Look at us, we're coming game for Carolina. They might sell the stadium out, and which they haven't done all season long. It's Dallas coming in, so it's a slippery slope. Am I laying points with the Panthers? No, I can't do it. I don't like laying points with bad teams. But it wouldn't shock me if they won this game. It wouldn't shock me. If y'all remember, man, I took the Panthers last time they played Dallas here on this show. And Mitch ridiculed me for 2 years about it. So kind of tough to do it again. It wouldn't shock me if the Panthers won this game. Like I said, this is low-key their Super Bowl. And Dallas, season over with, it's in their best interest to be playing the draft position game now. So, I don't know. Forced to play it, I would lean Dallas plus the 3, getting the full 3. That's the way I would lean, but I'm probably not going to end up betting this game. I was at that game Monday night. I was there in the end zone. How the hell do you lose on a block punt that's muffed? It just.
I mean, I don't understand how a guy who's a specialist, who's on the special teams, and this is a basic rule on the special teams, blows that. I just, I'm happy, because I had a huge play on Cincinnati, but I don't get it at all.
Shout out to everybody.
Felt like something you'd see in the CFL, more of a CFL type play.
I mean, that's just basic rules. And I was talking to a friend of mine who's a fan. He's like, oh, yeah, well, they don't remember all of that. I'm like, how do you not remember that fucking rule?
It's an odd rule, something you don't see often, where, like, if you block the punt and it travels beyond the line of scrimmage, then it's a live ball again, like you never blocked it. It is a strange rule, but
it's not a strange rule. Like, I mean, that's the profession. It's
true.
It's to me, that's a basic rule, But yeah, it's like, don't goaltend when the ball's above the rim. I mean, it's a rule.
You're right. You're right. Cost them the game, man. Cost them the game. Let's keep it rolling, fellas. We head over to New Orleans, where the Saints are laying. I'm sorry, not laying. They're getting 7.5 points. With the Commanders coming in, total 44.5. Commanders coming off a bye, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, they are. They had the week off last week. Before the bye, they took the Titans behind the woodshed. Sean, how you feeling here in this one? Commanders laying this many points down there in the Caesars Superdome.
Yeah, it feels like we haven't seen the Commanders play in like 2 months for some reason. I feel like that game against Tennessee is not even, I have no memory of that game happening 42-19 as a 6 point home favorite. But yeah, this man, there's some tough games on the board here this week. This is another one where I don't think the Saints are a good team. They're coming off 3 wins in their last 4 games. They haven't covered the spread in their last 2 games. You wonder if the Commanders kind of got right in that Titans win, and then they get the bye week. Travel here, play a game indoors against the Saints. But on the flip side, I think they're laying too many points. I think 7.5 is a lot to lay with a Commanders team that other than that game against Tennessee, really hasn't played good defensively down the stretch at all. And even the offense, we've seen some regression from down the stretch as well. Again, with the exception of that game against the awful Titans. So, it's not an easy bet to make, but I think I'd have to lean Saints in this one plus the points.
This is one of those games where it's like I'm just not gonna let the odds makers trick me. And I think they're doing a really good job of trying to get me on the Saints, but I can't let them do it. I'm taking the Commanders. I'm just gonna lay it. They're the better team. They're coming off the bye. The Saints, I know they're not as good at home against the number as you would think. The Saints are actually much better at ATS on the road by a pretty decent margin than they are at home from an ATS perspective. I know Al's probably going to tell me laying points with the Commanders is usually a bad idea, and it is. I get it, especially as a huge favorite. I think we talked about it earlier this season. I get it. But that's the way I'm leaning in this game. I think the Commanders are head and shoulders a better football team, have so much more to play for. I think the Saints kind of roll over in this one. We'll see. We'll see if I'm right. Give me the Commanders laying the points in this one. Al, let me see if you can talk me.
Washington historically has been horrible as a favorite, but I'm still taking them here.
Are you with me? Okay.
Yeah, primarily because of the bye week, and they're a really good team, and their opponent is not a good team. And when you get a rested team coming off a bye week that owned a 600 or better win percentage, and their opponent was 400 or worse, the rested good team has gone 83 and 63 ATS. So I don't have a reason to take New Orleans. Also,
Right.
if I had a reason, that'd be one thing. But without a reason, I'm just going to side with a good team coming off the bye week. And actually, typically the bye week helps really bad teams. But this is one situation where it does help a good team. I'll lay it.
Lay it with the Commanders. All right, let's do it. Let's keep it rolling. We got the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow, Joe Shiesty, Jamar Chase and company on the road facing the Tennessee Titans. They're laying 5 again. They were laying 5 last week. They're laying 5 again on the road. I'm over here, man. Last week I said Cincinnati is the better football team. I just didn't know if I trust their defense enough to cover that game. So it ultimately put me on Dallas. And it kind of was playing out exactly like that, except for the defense wasn't able to give up the game. The offense actually handled business late when it mattered most, went down, scored. So shout out to Cincinnati. And this one, I think they kind of do the same thing. Tennessee is so bad, so terrible. And the Bengals, man, they have no margin for error. They have to win out to even give themselves a chance to do anything. I still think, hot take, I still think the Bengals make the playoffs. I think they make it. I got Cincinnati making it. I got Denver not making it. And I think the Bengals get that last wild card spot. So I'm gonna lay it here with the Bengals on the road. Tennessee, they've been a dirty dog all year. Got to catch that falling knife with. I saw what was that week 2 when Will Levis threw that terrible interception on the sideline, and that was enough for me to never bet Tennessee for the remainder of the season. As long as Will Levis is under center, I will not be betting Tennessee. It's really that simple for me. Give me Cincinnati, the better team with much more to play for. Al?
Yeah, I mean, this is a tough game. I mean, got very, I joked when I said it was a rocking chair winner, obviously the opposite of that. But um, after getting the money with Cincinnati last week, I just feel like I want to take the money and run as hard away from Cincinnati as I can this week. I just, was very fortunate, and I think I'm done with them. At least this week. I just at the end of the year, they're a lose. I mean, Cincinnati's still a losing team. Now they're favored on the road against a team off back-to-back Suez losses. I just can't lay 5 points. I'm gonna take the home dog. Is it still 5? By the way, that's what it was.
I see 5 right now, yeah.
Yeah. I'll take the 5.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm kind of with Al here. I mean, situationally, Titans off back-to-back losses straight up against the spread. Bengals on a short week off that win in Dallas. I still don't trust the Bengals defense, like you kind of alluded to there earlier. I was at a Titans home game earlier this year against the Jets, and the Titans fans were few and far between in Nashville that week. I know Jets fans travel well, but to me, like the time is until they get their new stadium open there. I kind of feel like the home field advantage factor for the Titans is like non-existent here. So they're just a scary team to, you know, I, I'd like to be grabbing maybe 7 points here in this spot. I think five. I don't know. It's another game I'm probably going to have to lay out. This is a tricky week. There's so many games like this where it's feels like the number's pretty spot on. I can make a case for the underdog, but I don't know that there's enough there to interest me in actually getting behind them. So again, lean to the dog again, the +5 with the Titans, but probably not a game you're going to find me on this week.
Let's keep it rolling. We got another favorite and a dirty dog that I've been hearing some talks about this dog this week. We got the Cleveland Browns getting 4.5 points at home at the crib with the Kansas City Chiefs rolling in. Total in this one I'm seeing around 43.5. Al, you're up here.
Yeah, I mean, this is like I forget how the expression goes, like rinse, repeat, or whatever. Just I mean, the Chiefs they failed to cover the spread in each of their last 7 games. Just going to keep going against them. And what's interesting when you look at how teams do in the NFL off 7 or more ATS losses, losing teams actually do well. They've gone 32-18 ATS, but winning teams off 7 or more ATS losses don't do well. They've only cashed 30%. So I just don't want any part of the Chiefs right now until they can show me that they can cover a number. I'm going to take Cleveland.
Sean?
Yeah, I love the Browns in this spot. A lot of the same reasons Al talked about right there. Chiefs just don't cover spreads this year. Just that's their MO. They go into games, they pull out some sort of strange win in the end, and never cover the spread. So why would we jump off that at this point? And you look at the Browns. I mean, they're definitely not. They could have quit on the season, but they certainly didn't. Once Jameis Winston was kind of installed and to run the offense, they've had a little more life. That defense has still been generally awful. But returning home, take on the defending champs. I think this is a game the Browns get up for, and I think a lot of bettors will be in a hurry to lay the points with the Chiefs. But I'm going to go the other way and back the underdog Browns here.
Sweeping it. I'm with you guys. I'm on the Browns, man. I'm tired of betting the Chiefs and losing. Let me preface this the right way. I still believe in the Chiefs. I still got them hoisting the Lombardi. Still think they're going to be 3-time Super Bowl champs, the first team to ever do it. With that being said, I don't mean we got to lay the points with them in these style spots. What really kind of opened my eyes when was Al broke down the Patriots that went with that amazing record earlier in 2008 or 2007. I forgot what year that was, and how
Yeah.
bad they were at ATS. Um, a team that's lost 7 games in a row, ATS though, has never gone on to win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, but that's such a phony stat.
I heard that stat floating out there
I mean,
though.
I hate when people pull out stats like
Yeah,
that.
I know.
And at the end of the day, I think if Kansas City can get the bye, like if they can somehow stay ahead of Buffalo in the race for the number one seed, I wouldn't be shocked to see Kansas City reach the Super Bowl because they're going to play the 4-5, seed, and then they're going to get the winner of, say, the Buffalo Pittsburgh game. I mean, Kansas City can get to the Super Bowl. I think the biggest problem is what happens when they get there and have to play a Detroit or a Philly. Then I think they get destroyed. Um, that's how I kind of see it. Like I think the AFC is pretty wide open, but I think outside of Buffalo, maybe I just think the AFC is going to be really up against it if they have to go up against Detroit and Philly.
I think for me, it's if they play Buffalo and Arrowhead in the playoffs, we've seen that story before. And if they get to the Super Bowl, they have a head coaching advantage over both Philly. I think they have a significant head coaching advantage over, and
One,
then over
one, one,
Detroit.
one, one, 100%, and I'd be laying the wood with Detroit and Philly.
But in Detroit, I like Dan Campbell, but it's Lions in the Super Bowl. Come on now, like I'd be fake.
I mean, it's the Lions and Philly are better teams than Kansas City. So that would be a dream for me. That would be to get either Detroit or Philly in the Super Bowl against a Kansas City, and if the number would be relatively reasonable.
It's hard for me to say teams are better than Kansas City, the team who just won the Super Bowl and has 1 L. Like, it's hard for me to say that.
And 7 ATSLs in a row. I mean, it just.
That because they're overrated, overvalued. Overrated, overvalued doesn't mean not a good team. It just means people
I think they
either
are a good team. I don't think they're the
same.
best team. That's all I'm saying.
That's fair. Fair point. Fair. We'll see. See how it all shapes out. I'm still holding my Chiefs ticket from the beginning of the season. I forgot what it is. But yeah, that's what I got. So,
They're around like 550.
yeah, that sounds about right. I think it's like 560. I
Yeah.
think something like
I ripped up my 49ers ticket.
that. Fair enough, fellas. Let's keep it rolling. We head to Miami. Or no, sorry. We head to Houston, where Miami is 3-point dogs to the Houston Texans. Total 46.5. Huge game for both teams in this one. Sean, you're up first here, my man.
Yeah, I think the Texans this year. I mean, everyone was high on them coming into the season, and they're 8-5. They're going to be a playoff team, but they haven't looked quite right, have they? Even that game a couple of weeks ago against Jacksonville, they kind of dominated the game. Ended up letting the Jags sneak in the back door in that game. Uh, Game before that, we saw them lose at home to the Titans, who we've already kind of named as an awful team. So, again, tough for me to lay points here with Houston at home. You get Miami coming off that win over the Jets. Dolphins have been a much better team since Tua's returned, obviously. But they've also had wins over, Las Vegas at home, New England at home, the Jets at home. We saw them go on the road and face Green Bay there on Thanksgiving night, and that game wasn't even close. Um, the Packers owned that game. So tricky matchup again here where we, get a short number. I believe the number's still at -2.5 here. -2.5 or wait, -3 at this point. I think we're at -3.
It's a
I'd
it's a
probably,
both. It's like it's
Yeah.
circa. It's
yeah.
2.5 minus 20 cents.
Know
Okay.
your lines are shopping in this one.
Yeah, so if I had to play this one, I'd probably look at laying the points with the Texans, and I also feel that this is a game that, typically I'd probably look to go maybe under this relatively high total after the Dolphins had such a high-scoring game against the Jets last week. But I don't know. This kind of has the feel of a potential shootout game, depending on which Miami offense shows up in the friendly confines here in Houston.
Fair, fair. I'm on the Texans in this one. I want the 2.5. I really don't mind the 3. And for me, what it comes down to, I agree with a lot of what Sean said there. The Dolphins have played much better since Tua has come back. That was a gutsy win for them to pull out last week. Um, but I also had the same questions he has. They was against bad football teams, and the Dolphins are not a hard team to figure out. Just look at Mike McDaniel's records against bad teams. Look at Mike McDaniel's record against winning football teams. It's a night and day. When they play teams with winning football records, they are terrible, garbage. I wish I had the number right here in front of me, but it's terrible. And when they play bad football teams, they handle business. And that's why the Dolphins are usually like right around 500 because you play half good teams, half bad teams every year. In this one, the Texans, I know they've been untrustworthy this season. I agree with Sean in that aspect as well. They've been really untrustworthy in certain situations, but I think this is probably going to be one of the games where they steady the ship. Um, Two similar teams, younger quarterbacks, a lot of weapons on the outside. Um, but I think where the edge is for me is I trust the defense more of Houston than I trust the defense more of Miami. Um, I think that's where the edge is, and I give a slight edge to D'Amico Ryan's head coaching ability. I'm gonna roll with the Texans, especially if it's 2.5 under the 3 at home in a meaningful game. I'm gonna lay it. Al,
Yeah, I mean, I just think you have two underwhelming teams.
you do.
I mean, yeah, I mean, Dolphins blown out by Green Bay, on a game on national TV, 30-17, and then I mean, I think you just said that they play better against bad teams. Well, the Jets are a pitiful team, and they didn't cover the spread. They were lucky to win by 6. The Jets had lost 3 games suats going into that game, and they still covered the number by a half point by getting 6.5, losing by 6. So the Dolphins are now 5-7 ATS on the season. They failed to cover the spread by 3.5, 3 points per game, and Miami has a negative scoring margin of 2.15. So I mean, they're just the numbers are just bad across the board for Miami. The problem is that Houston is 10-22 ATS as a favorite. This is just one of those games. I'm taking the underdog regardless of who it is because I don't, I just don't want either team. So,
That's fair.
if it was the reverse and Houston was at Miami catching 2.5, I'd take Houston. But I'm going to take Miami plus a 2.5 or 3.
If this was the NBA, I would take the Dolphins with you. And when I'm in these style situations in the NBA, I'll take the dog, and I usually just attack the plus money.
Yeah, I was going to say you take him on the money
You
line,
know,
right?
you know me. I take him on the money line. Hey, I got burnt last night taking the money line with the Warriors. Oh my god.
I was annoyed about that game because I decided not to play last night, and I was praying that it would be a 16 game losing streak, and then on February 13th, I would have been really interested in taking Houston when they meet in two months, at Houston on a 16 game losing streak, and all I just needed them to do was just lose a game straight up, and they have to fucking win
They
by a
should
point.
have instead of referees.
Right.
Basketball.
I mean, it's just
It is what it was. Be what it be, man. Hey, sometimes you're on the right side of those. Sometimes you're on the wrong side.
I had the Warriors, so I was happy about it.
Oh, you had the 1.5.
Yeah.
Okay,
yeah,
yeah. I had the
nice.
money line, unfortunately.
I've had those kind of breaks lately in the NBA. I'm sure it'll be, yeah,
Me and
goes
Al
both
talk.
ways.
That's what I'm saying. We talk about that all the time. Where sometimes I'm on the money line and I hit. Sometimes it's like, and that's
Yeah.
bad. Let's keep it rolling, fellas. Let's head to Denver, where the Broncos are 4-point home favorites over the Indianapolis Colts. Total 43.5. Uh, I'm up first in this one. I'm on the Colts plus the points. That Colts, that coach. Just knew we weren't gonna win. It was gonna be the worst beat ever. I got them Broncos missing the playoffs, y'all. I told y'all earlier, hot take. I got them missing. I think they could legitimately lose every game for the rest of the season, and finish 8-9 and miss the playoffs. Um, I think the Colts can come here and get them. I do. I think the Colts play a brand of football that is capable of coming in here and beating Denver. Um, Denver's playing well, though. I got to give them credit where credit is due. They're playing well off 3 straight wins against, I wouldn't say bad teams, but I wouldn't say good teams either. I would say against, 2 bad teams and a middle of the road team in Atlanta. Um, but laying points with this team, I think you're kind of asking for it against a Colts team that's been solid ATS, um, especially as a dog. I think the Colts have a legitimate chance to come here and win this game outright. If there was a plus money opportunity for me this week in the NFL, this is a dog I'm putting money on outright. So give me Indy to get back to 500. They're not dead yet. Indy's not dead yet. They need some help, but they can also help themselves. Still battling with Houston. Give me the Colts plus the points and money line. Al?
Yeah, my dog Walter, I might need to attend him for a few seconds. I'll make this short and sweet. Both teams, of course, off a bye. The Broncos are 26-8 ATS off a bye, including 14-2 ATS versus an opponent off a straight-up win. But the key stat for me is the Broncos are 7-0 ATS. Their last 7 as a favorite, compared to 8-8 ATS. Their last 16 as an underdog. So I like them in the favorite role, and I'll lay the points. And you guys keep talking. I'll be back in a second.
Fair enough. Hey, if you're a Pick Dawgz OG, you know the game we're talking about. If Walter gets a barking, you know what that means. I'll know what that means too. Let's go, Colts. Outright money line. Sean, how you feeling?
Yeah, yeah, I'm with you on the Colts in this one. We got the Broncos coming off 3 straight wins, 4 in a row against the spread. I don't think this is a team built for long winning streaks against the spread, really. I mean, earlier this year, they had a 3-game ATS winning streak. The next week, they came out and lost to the Chargers at home as a home underdog. I'll just kind of blindly back the Colts. I'm not that high on the Colts, but I do think this is a spot where we see the Broncos coming off that big Monday night win over the Browns, then the bye week. I just think this might be a little bit of an ugly game, and I'll grab those points with the Colts.
Fair. I will say, guys, I do think that the Broncos are the better football team. In a vacuum, it's just we know in every sport the better football team doesn't always win the game. That's not how this works. Because I know somebody in the comments is gonna be mad at me, like Jay, why are you taking the Broncos? Why are you not taking the Broncos? We're the better
Yeah,
team.
the Broncos will get their share of support this week, no doubt, because they've looked so good here recently. Bo Nix, in the getting all the praise in the world, and then you've got the Colts, who people have kind of forgotten about, even though they've played better football lately. So I'm fairly confident grabbing those points with the Colts here.
Same. Especially with the Walter angle, man. I'm rolling with him. Let's keep it rolling, Sean. I know Al will pop back in a second. We'll just plug him in per usual. We got the Arizona Cardinals at home, laying 6 points on the New England Patriots. Total in this one, 46.5, man. Sean, I got a problem. And the problem is I just keep betting them Cardinals, man. I think I've bet them every single game this year.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, your problem was a couple games back. You had them on the money line, right, against the Vikings,
I
because they
did.
covered that one.
Yes,
Yeah.
I did have them on the money line in that game. so,
I was
uh,
nervous. I think we talked about the game last week where we said we all kind of liked Arizona, but I was nervous about laying those points, thinking maybe Seattle might surprise some people. And sure enough, Seattle not only kept it close, but ended up kind of dominating that game. So, yeah, it's been a tough time to be a Cardinals better, I guess, the last few weeks.
man, say. Al, we just switched over to New England and Arizona. We haven't broke it down yet. You know about one of the famous Pick Dawgz angle. You just faded it last game. The Walter barking during a segment. The dog angle. The
Oh
dog
God.
angle, man.
So the New England Arizona game is the
Nah, it's
um
the Colts. The Colts.
the Colts. Yeah, yeah,
Broncos is
yeah,
the
yeah, yeah.
Walter game.
Walter was objecting. He's like, "How the hell are you taking a favorite?"
But now we're talking about New England and
Yeah,
Arizona.
I'm gonna take New England plus the points. Patriots coming in to the game off their bye week, and the bye weeks really do benefit the league's worst teams more than its good ones, and bad teams with a win percentage below 333 that are getting 5 or more points following their bye week. They've gone 75 and 48 ATS. So I'll grab the points with New England.
Sean, how you feeling here?
Yeah, so it just seems like kind of the shine's off the Cardinals right now. They had their run in late October into November when they won 4 games in a row. I'm with Al here. I'm going to grab the points with the Patriots, and I wouldn't be surprised if New England won this game outright off the bye, coming off 3 straight losses. I think it's a good spot to grab those points with the Pats.
I'm going down with the ship, man, but I don't even think we're going down. I think they beat up on the Patriots this week. I think this is a perfect week to be on the Cardinals. Everybody's selling their stock on them. The whole world down on Arizona. And mark my words, man, they're not dead yet. They could still make the playoffs. They could still win the division. Um, Especially with everybody else in the division having tougher schedules. I think they have the toughest schedule remaining in this division. Um, so because they have New England here, Carolina next week, then they got the Rams and the Niners. So they not dead yet, and I think this is the perfect week to kind of steady the ship. Let's go on a run. It would, if I was the head coach of the Cardinals, that would be my mantra this week. Let's go on a run. Let's not leave it up to chance. Let's not leave it up to nobody else. This the get right week. This the week we beat up on a team we are head and shoulders better than. Let's go out and prove it after playing bad. So that's kind of my thought process here. It's a big boy number to be laying with Arizona, who's played as bad as they've played. But I've been betting them all year. I think I bet them every single game this season. So why stop now, Jay? Sign me up. I love me some K1. I love me some Arizona Cardinals football this season. I'll lay the 6. Let's keep rolling. We head over to Detroit game of the week, in my opinion. Man, it's a blockbuster game right here. This potentially could be a Super Bowl preview. Potentially. We got the Detroit Lions laying 2.5 points. Not even a full 3. 2.5 on the Buffalo Bills. Total 54.5. That's a high total. Two good offenses. I understand why. Sean, talk to me, my man. How you feeling here in this one?
Yeah, so I've been fading the Lions. I faded them the last 2 weeks, including last week when they failed to cover by the hook there against the Packers. So I'm just going to keep doing it. Like we said last week, it's tough to win in the NFL any week, and they've reeled off 11 straight wins. So I think laying points here is tough in this situation. I will say I just read a couple hours ago that the Bills are dealing with some weather issues in Buffalo, and they may not even get a full practice in this week. So maybe that's something worth noting as well. But I'll grab the points with the Bills coming off that tough loss on the road against the Rams last week.
It's a really tough game for me, fellas. Really tough. I can make an argument going both ways in this football game. Um, Ultimately, I'm gonna take Detroit and lay the 2.5. I they a money making machine is what they are, man. And it's like off an ATSL, uh, at home. This is one of the biggest games they've had in quite some time. Like everybody, I feel like is gonna be tuned in for this game. So I'm on the Lions. I think they show that they're legitimate Super Bowl contenders in this game. I think that they show that they should be regarded as right now probably the number one team in the NFC, even though I would probably nod Philadelphia. I see why a lot of people nod Detroit. Um, I've been fading them with you, Sean, but this week I think I'm gonna jump back on them. I'm usually a Lions backer. I've been a Lions backer the last couple seasons. I just try to pick my spots this season. But this one, I'm gonna hop back on them. Give me Detroit laying the 2.5. Al?
Yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, Detroit's been basically an ATM when it comes to covering the numbers. I'm going to just fade them here. This is more of a bet on Buffalo than it's a bet against Detroit. Buffalo coming off this straight up loss to the Rams, and the Bills are now 84-59 ATS off a point spread loss when playing an opponent off a straight up win. Now you're catching points also with Buffalo. I just think they're pretty reliable. I'm going to take the Bills plus 2.5.
Fair enough. Keep it pushing, fellas. We head over to sunny side LA with the Clippers. Not the Clippers, the Chargers. I'm in NBA mode, man. Where the Chargers are laying 3 points on the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Total 45.5. Y'all know my beef with the Chargers, man, and I'm still beefing with them. I'm taking the Tampa Bay Bucks plus the points, and I'm sprinkling outright money line. The Chargers are going to get in the playoffs, but it's only because their schedule's kind of light back end. They got Patriots and Raiders to close out the season. So they're going to get in. But I think the Bucks, man, they have a legitimate chance to come here and bust them up. I really do. The Bucks, I think people forget how good the Bucks are. They just been banged up. Like the Bucks team won a playoff game last year. The Bucks put out Philly, who everybody's also in love with last year. They've just been fairly banged up, but starting to get healthy off 3 straight wins. I know they haven't played the greatest competition. I get it. Giants, Carolina, Vegas. But I still think the Chargers are just overrated, overvalued. The Chargers, to me, are not as good as people think, and the Bucks are not nearly as bad as people think. And I think this is one where people see that. Give me Tampa, money line, and plus the points. Al?
Well, what the Chargers do have is the league's best scoring defense at 15.92 points per game. And in the last 5 weeks of the regular season, teams with strong defenses that allow 16, actually less than 16 points per game, they've gone 147 and 112 ATS. I just like the Chargers to bounce back off that tough loss to Kansas City, and I'm going to take the Chargers minus the points.
Sean?
Yeah, no real opinion on the side in this game, but I do like the total. I think it was my one loss last Sunday was on the over in that Chargers Chiefs game. I think I talked about it on this show, just expecting the Chargers to maybe throw it a little more. They did. They had 30 pass attempts in that game. But again, just kind of another sluggish offensive performance. I think they do bounce back here at home offensively against a beatable Bucks defense. But you look at this Tampa Bay team. I mean, on the road, they scored 20 in their first road game against Detroit. That's a game they won. The Lions' most recent loss, of course. Then they played in Atlanta, scored 30, scored 51 in New Orleans, 24 in Kansas City, 30 in New York against the Giants, 26 on the road against Carolina. So this is an offense that does travel pretty well. Um, I still want to play these overs with the Chargers down the stretch. I think we see a bit of a shift from their offense, and with J.K. Dobbins sidelined, I think I'm going to go with the over in this game.
We keep it rolling. We head to Philadelphia, where I think the second game of the week is being played, where the Eagles are laying 5.5 points on Pittsburgh. Total 43.5. Al? How you feeling here in this?
This is. I'm just going to look at the over here. The Eagles, they're one of those teams. They tend to play high scoring games after not getting 24 or more points in the previous game, and especially when the over under in their current game is 44 points or less. Then in those games, the Eagles have gone over in 32 of 46 games. So I'll take it over the 42.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm on the same play here. I just don't think the Eagles are a team that's built for under streaks. We've seen it earlier this season. 3 times previously, they've come off back-to-back unders. All 3 times they've gone over in their next game. That's the situation here. They had the 24-19 win in Baltimore and then the 22-16 win over Carolina last week. So I think the offense comes to play here. We know the Steelers' offense has come around with Russell Wilson at the helm. I think they can trade scores a little bit in this game, a little bit over the total.
I'm actually shocked to see this line as high as it is. Um, I'm on Pittsburgh, bro. I'm not laying this many points with Philadelphia in this game. I like Philadelphia. I've come around on them. I keep telling y'all they're my favorite right now in the NFC. I like them over the Lions, but they kind of right now are in that same bucket the Chiefs are in, where it's like I know how good they are, but they're overrated, overvalued, in my opinion, because everybody knows how good they are. Just because you're a good team don't mean we got to lay points with you. Same thing in the NBA right now. The Celtics, they're the best team in the NBA. Everybody knows it, the defending champs, but from an ATS perspective, you've been losing your ass betting them. So, um, good teams don't always cover. I know the saying, good teams cover, but that's not necessarily the case. Um, Laying this many points on Pittsburgh, can't do it, won't do it. I'm going to grab the points. I'm well aware of that one stat that Pittsburgh hasn't won in Philadelphia since like 1965.
I mean, and not covered the spread. Well, I've only seen the last 5 meetings, 0-5 straight up and ATS going back to 1980.
Oh, well, there's another one. So there are some stats on why this line kind of looks like it looks, but just based on who these two teams have been on the field this season, I think that Pittsburgh has a legitimate chance to win this game outright because of how good they are defensively. And if Russell Wilson can come in here, just be the efficient distributor and hand the football off and just be the Mike Tomlin coach team the Steelers have always been, hell yeah, I'll grab the points with him here in this spot. So it's kind of how I break it down. Let's head over to. Did you go on this one, Al?
I had the over, yeah.
Okay, yeah, you did. Okay. Let's go over to Sunday Night Football where we have the Seattle Seahawks, home dog, with the Green Bay Packers rolling in. Packers laying 2.5, total 45.5. Sean, you're up first here.
Yeah, this is a tough one because we got both teams coming in on season high ATS win streaks. Packers off three straight, and the Seahawks have won and covered in four straight. My first thought here is to fade Seattle. Um, I don't love doing it with them as a home dog in this situation. I think I'll probably look at the consider playing the under in this game. Seahawks off back-to-back over results. We've got the Packers coming off that really high-scoring game against the Lions last Thursday, so they've had a little bit of extra time to prepare for this game. This is one of the more intriguing matchups here in this week's card as well. I think the over will take plenty of money in this one in the primetime game. I'm going to go under the total.
I'm on the pack, go. I'm going to lay the points here in this one. I still don't trust Seattle in Seattle. Even Monday night, 12th man, or Sunday night, I'm sorry, 12th man rocking. I get it. You would think this place is going to be booming. The crowd's going to be booming. I get it. But Seattle ain't been that great at home this year. And Green Bay is just a better football team, in my opinion. And it just sets up as Green Bay comes in here, wins the game. Seattle drops back another game in this division, and that division is just going to be a clusterfuck to figure out what's going to happen there. So that's kind of just how I see this one playing out. I think the Packers are the better team, but don't trust Seattle in Seattle right now. They did win their last one against the Cardinals there, but they absolutely needed to win that one after, 3 or 4 straight home losses. I think after this, they probably get back to regular schedule programming, at least for this season, and lose here. It just seems like a logical spot for them to lose. Give me Green Bay. Al?
Yeah, I'm going to go against Seattle. They're coming off not just 4 straight wins, but 4 straight upset wins. And home teams off 4 straight upset wins have cashed just 30% over the last 45 years. So I'll take Green Bay minus the points.
Monday Night Football. We got a double header this week. We got the Bears, 6.5-point home dogs in Minnesota. Total 43.5 here in this one. And the Bears got taken behind the woodshed last week by the Niners, man. The Niners woke back up. I'm gonna take the Bears in this one. It's a division game, Monday Night Football. Minnesota is the better football team. Minnesota should win the game, but off of this many wins, um, I think they get in a little trouble here, laying points. We saw Chicago play them extremely tough last time, force overtime. I know this one's at home. I know Minnesota looked really good at the end of, uh, towards the middle and end of that game last week, beating up on Atlanta. But Chicago, divisional opponent, built to beat them, built to play them. This game's gonna be tighter than what they did to Atlanta last week. And in all honesty, it wouldn't shock the hell out of me if Chicago won this game outright. It would not shock the hell out of me. Um, Plus 250 ish. I'm seeing right now on Chicago money line for my money line dog betters. I think this is a pretty decent spot to try to take a shot. Give me Chicago plus the points and maybe a sprinkle on the money line. Al?
Yeah, I mean, I like the under here. These two teams met 3 games ago, and the Bears were actually down 27-16. They made a mad rush in the final 22 seconds to send into overtime, and final score ended up being 30-27 Vikings. But I just think we're going to see a much lower scoring game here, just because division matchups when they meet for season they tend to go under the total. So I'm going to take the under.
Sean?
Yeah, I'm on board with both of you guys in this one. I like the Bears and I like the under in this game. We're seeing this total jump up a few points from the last time they met. That one closed around 39 and a half just a few weeks ago. So much considerably higher total here with the scene shifting from Chicago to Minnesota. We know how the Vikings are. I mean, 6 straight wins. Most of the time, they're involved in the tight games. They find a way to win. Last week's game, I'd argue that was closer than the final score indicated there, 42-21. They pulled away from the Falcons for quite some time in that game. It looked like the Falcons were the right side plus the points.
Man.
Um, so I think everybody's off the Bears this week after that ugly game in San Fran last week. So I think this is the time to get on them, grabbing points in a Monday night game.
Fair enough. Last game of the
Yeah,
week,
to
fellas.
wit, Sean, 69. Well, I don't know how you can trust these numbers. That's one thing Mitch and I always talk about. But 69%, according to the Don Best screener, on the Vikings.
Yeah, no surprise.
Yep. That's the one
And
thing I miss.
85% on the Falcons.
That's the thing I miss most about Mitch. It's just the little random conversations like why is 67% of the money on the Bears or on the Vikings? And we just have random conversations all the time, man, all day, really. We got the
Yeah,
Raiders getting 4 points at home with the Falcons rolling in. Falcons, man, they were the hot ticket early in the season, and now Kirk Cousins seems to have lost it, and they've lost 4 in a row. Sean, does he find it again here, or do you not trust these boys? How you feeling?
I don't know. This is an ugly one all around. For the nightcap here on the Monday nighter. Good chance if this goes sour early, we see Kirk Cousins probably get lifted from this game, but that shouldn't be the case with the Falcons favorite on the road against a pretty bad Vegas team. Yeah, I won with the Raiders there 2 weeks ago in the game against the Chiefs, where they took Kansas City right down to the wire on Black Friday. I don't think this Las Vegas team has really quit on the season. I mean, they've lost, 9 straight games. I think they can still be competitive, and I don't like laying points on the road with Atlanta. I think they're just I think in general Atlanta's just a team I prefer to bet as an underdog. So in this spot, I'll probably look at grabbing the points with the Raiders, but again, not one of my favorite plays on the board this week.
I'm on the Raiders with you in this one. I kind of agree a lot of what you said there. I don't trust the Falcons laying points on the road. I really liked Atlanta last week. I liked them a lot against Minnesota. And like you said, early in that game, I was sitting there like, okay, Atlanta, they might come out here and do something. They might win the game. Ha! Man, they got taken behind the woodshed. They got beat up late in that football game. The Raiders, I believe they have the right coach. I believe they really like their coach. and they want to continue to play for their coach. Um, I believe the Raiders are going to get their quarterback this coming draft in Shedeur Sanders. I wholeheartedly believe that. We saw Dion tell Antonio Pierce, draft my boys. In the video clip, and I think everything just kind of aligns cultural wise. They just don't have the players right now. But in a game like this, I think we see them play tough. They're not just going to lay down at home on a Monday night football game. Hell no, that's not going to happen. I think they got a legitimate chance to win it outright. Do they win it outright? Probably not. Atlanta needs the game too much, but it wouldn't shock me if we saw Young Wei Koo lining up to win this game outright. But then again, at the same time, it wouldn't shock me if the Raiders won outright too. This is still primetime Kirk Cousins, who is playing terrible. He's in his worst stretch of the season. So I'm definitely on the Raiders plus the points in this one. Can't trust primetime Kirk, who's playing bad. Can't trust Atlanta laying points on the road. And I think the Raiders still playing for their head coach. I think they show up here on a Monday night at home. Al?
Yeah, I mean, I look at this a little bit differently. I just look at this as Atlanta is stepping down big time in class after playing their last three games against teams with the number one, number two, and number six scoring defenses in the league. The Raiders, on the other hand, are allowing 27.76 points per game. That ranks as the third worst scoring defense behind Carolina and Dallas. So the Falcons, they just averaged 13.3 points per game over their last three against really good defensive teams. And now they're going to be thrilled to face a defense like the Raiders. And I just think, it's going to be night and day. And I think Atlanta's going to cover the number. I'll lay the points.
Fair enough. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that concludes this week's episode of Picks from the DawgHouse NFL edition. Right now, currently, it's Thursday night. I do have a play in the Thursday night game. You ladies and gentlemen can scoop that play up over at Pick Dawgz Premium. And, of course, I'll have a handful of games for y'all this weekend. Last weekend, I really did not like the card. This weekend's tough, but I think it's tough for a reason. I think we'll be able to find our way through, and I'll have a pretty substantial amount of plays this weekend in the NFL. So, for NFL action for me, you can hop on something long-term. Let's continue to do what we do. Al, what you got going on this week at Pick Dawgz Premium?
Yeah, on a nice little run over the last 21 days, 18 winning days, 2 losing days, and 1 split-out day, going 115 and 62, I think, or something like that, on all games. Last week in the NFL was 4-0. This week on Thursday night, I've got my NFC West division game of the year. I'm going to have at least one play in the NFL on Sunday that I know about. And it actually might be a slow week for me in the NFL this week, but it won't be a slow week in basketball, just humming along in hoops. And just you can join by the 3 days, 7 days, 30 days, just team me up with Jay and Sean and under the 2-for-1 and 3-for-1 handicapper specials, and we'll do pretty well.
Yes, sir. Sean, what you got going on, my man?
Yeah, it's been a good week here so far. 7-1 since Monday. A couple of 3-0 sweeps in there, and then a split last night. So we'll look to keep that going tonight. I've got my Thursday night football total of the year on the on tonight's game between the Rams and the 49ers. And then Sunday, I expect to probably have 3 or 4 plays in the NFL. 7-2 going back to the previous Sunday in the NFL. 4-1 last week. So gonna look to keep that going here this week. But I've just gone in and discounted all of my in-season packages as well, as we kind of do as the seasons play out. So you can get those at prorated prices here for the rest of the season. So it's obviously a good time to get on board here in December with lots of certainly for football with the bowl season coming up, college football playoff, and then we've got lots of NFL on the go. So good time to hop on board.
They hit the nail right on the head, man. Pair us up 2-for-1, 3-for-1, however you want to do it, over at Pick Dawgz Premium. And then it's really the best time of year to hop on something long term. Buy it for a friend for a Christmas gift. Many of the things you can do here. But what better gifted than gift a friend and an opportunity to make some money? You know what I mean? It just seems like a perfect gift to me. So do that, ladies and gentlemen. Let's continue to try to kick the crap out of the books. We appreciate each and every one of you that continue to tune in and watch these shows, watch these episodes. Of course, we'll be back next week. Sunday morning, of course, we'll have the NFL morning show where I have more definitive opinions on how I feel on most of these games. And of course, I like to break it down with everybody on the card as well. You get a little more banter, so it should be fun. Tune in there as we try to continue to do what we do. Any final words from you, fellas, before we get out of here?
No, yeah, just it's gonna be a good week again.
Let's keep it rolling, Sean.
I think I've said it all here. I think that's it.
There we go. Well, we appreciate each and every one of y'all. We'll see y'all next week. We out of here. Peace.